All right, so this is
Alright,
Captain
so this
Vijay
is
and
Captain
this is
Vijay.
great host
Great host.
Simran. So she'll be taking Q&A session, and the topic is going to be anchoring.
Anchoring.
Up to you. Over to you.
All right, Captain. So I have some questions from my side, and then I have some questions which the viewers gave us. So we'll be discussing on all. So I'll start with some basic questions, Captain, and then we can come to their questions. So as our topic is anchoring today. So the very first question is, Captain, when all do we anchor our vessel? Like, what is the purpose of anchoring?
All right. So basically, whenever we are calling any port or we are waiting for a further order, so that time either we are asked to drill or if we are in the port limits, wherever there is sufficient depth, anchoring is the best way to hold the vessel. And if you're drifting, you can will have to keep your engines on short notice. But on anchoring, you can give finish with engines depending on the sea room and the weather condition. So that's the advantage of having anchored vessel rather than drifting.
All right, Captain. So going to the next question, Captain, when we anchor the vessel, so what are the factors that you consider, like being a master? What all are the factors you consider before anchoring?
All right. So basically, we are human beings, and company has considered that. So every company has a anchoring checklist.
All
So
right.
there is the anchoring checklist for before anchoring, as well as watches during anchor watches. So there is a checklist that we follow. So basically, you have to see how many days are we going to be at anchor over there. What's the weather forecast? All right, and the seabed, the nature of the seabed is very important. Any foul area,
Foul area.
the distance of the nearest land, the distance of the nearest vessel. All right.
Alright.
So
So
all this is the
all
basic
these are
factors
basic factors
that you
that
consider
you consider
before
before
planning for anchoring.
planning for anchoring.
All right, Captain. So, well, my next question was, is there some checklist? But as we covered it, so Captain, can you just tell us in in short, the procedure for anchoring? Like when we go to what happens when we have to anchor?
All right. So whenever we are going to anchor,
Going to anchor.
all right. So
Alright, so
most of the time
most
the
of the time the
facilities they will give
facilities
you
they will
a
give you a
planned the
plan,
vessel
the
anchorage
vessel
area.
anchorage area.
Okay,
Okay,
guys are complaining
there is a
about
company
network.
input.
Yes, Captain. I can see they are
Let
saying
me
the
just
voice is going to.
I'm trying my best, but this is something which is beyond my control, the echoing part. Let me just get back Simran. I Gurleen use headphones. It never happened before. Is it still echoing? Hello everyone. Sunil, namaste. Use earphones. Yeah, hi Gurleen, I'm doing that. I have my Bluetooth earphones. Getting back Simran. Hi Machan Navy Life. Simran. I'm not able to
Yeah,
hear
I'm not
you.
able to hear you.
No, no.
No,
Let's,
no.
I
Let's,
mean, if you can
I
use
mean,
your
if you can use your
headphones.
headphones.
Hmm. Can you hear me?
Well, yes, I
Yeah.
can. I have brought another pair of earphones, so maybe it should be better now.
Hopefully.
All right.
Yeah. Slight
Is it
echo, but
still
I think it's manageable.
all right? You can
I
hear
will
me
change
properly,
my.
right?
I can hear you
Okay.
properly.
So, shall we
All
continue?
right. So we were on the way to Anchor.
Yeah. So, what all happens
All
when
right. So
we have to anchor?
many of the times, it is beneficial when the port control gives us a position,
Mm-hmm.
and if it doesn't give, fine. Then we look for the anchorages area. Now depends. We have dry, ships anchorages for dry ships and for tankers for hazardous cargo ships. So we would have planned the anchorage accordingly. Then we'll see the approach, how we are gonna proceed, and we'll check the current as well, how the ships are heading. And basically we will see whichever is the sea room available, wherever is the best sea room available. So we will opt for that. Also, we will see that after we have been told to pick up the anchor and proceed with the pilot station. So that position should be very good enough, for us to maneuver and reach the pilot station.
Yes,
So that
Captain.
is one of the important factor. So these are the planning, and then you call your chief mate and tell him that I'll be using port anchor, starboard anchor, depending on the scenario. How many shackles are we going to use? And it's always the best practice to tell him that this is the depth. I'll be lowering this much to half a shackle
Yes, Captain.
in water level. Then you accordingly send your crewing team forward, try out the windlasses, and stand by forward for any emergencies. And then I normally don't send my mate 1 hour in advance. I just keep him on bridge, and then when the time comes, then I'll ask him to go forward. If not, then I'll send the duty officer forward, depending whether the mate is senior and he is looking for promotion. Then the guys will go forward, and the normal communication, prepare your anchors for letting go or walk back, depending on the sea room and all that, and the sea depth. We'll discuss all that.
All right. So, okay, Captain, once we anchor the vessel, so how do we know that it's anchored properly?
All right.
Like,
So
is the anchor holding or not?
bottom.
So, yeah.
Okay. There are 2, 3 ways to anchor. The best way is, to go and stem the current wherever the current is heading. So you just stem the current, let go or walk back, and by the time she's brought up, your anchor will be perfectly all right holding. On the bridge, it's easy because you have your GPS Doppler log and the GPS speed to monitor, plus your heading as well. You can see the other ship's heading, and your ship has swung and come to the same heading, or more or less the same heading, and then the speed has reduced and come down to almost
Yes,
zero.
Captain.
So that is the way for the bridge. And for forward, most of the guys, forward we trouble them by asking them, let me know
Chain leading?
when the anchor is brought up. And many times it happens that the chain is up and down. There's
Yes.
not much of current, and that guy is like waiting for he's just waiting for the bridge to call him back. So
Yes,
basically,
Captain.
what you're supposed to do is you have to look for the chain. It should be a long stay, then short stay, long stay, short stay, and you should just the chief mate or whoever is there just look around to see if all the ships heading are in the same direction. So that is analog method for the forward guys and digital for the people on the bridge.
All right, Captain. So now, like, since we have anchored now our vessel, so now coming on the bridge, we are at anchor. So navigating officer has his watch. So what all he does on the bridge when he is at anchor watch?
Okay, so there's an anchor watch that he can keep. Or if he's near some port limits and he has SIM card, so then it's time for him to bring his mobile and look for
Yeah.
the signal. Okay, anyways, jokes apart. So supposed to
Provided he
carry a
keeps a provided he keeps a good lookout, he can do that.
unofficially, I would not comment on that.
Yeah, it's oops.
See, as long as you're keeping on proper anchor watch, you know that your ship has, maintained its position. Now you should also remember there's one incident I'll say. The ship had dropped anchor in one latitude, longitude, and at the people come on watch, use their phones, and just log the position. And after 2 days, they found out that the position was 2-3 miles away from the horizon. Because what happens, you just copy paste the
Oh, like the previous reading.
previous positions.
Yeah.
So that should not happen. You should always watch out for the first drop position. So you monitor position, then you follow your checklist. Make sure. So basically, you have to make sure that anchor is not dragging. No other ships are coming in your turning circle. And you have to keep a watch. Any other ships coming and dropping anchor very close by, which is normal. Then you need to call them on the VHF, request them to drop at least minimum CPA off. If they don't comply, then you have to call the port control and tell them that this vessel is dropping very close by. Because then both the turning circles, if they come close, it will not go.
Even the chains can, then it's like the anchor chain can get into each other.
They can, depending on the each how
It's
they are
too
turning around.
close.
So it's better to whatever turning circle we have set, 3 cables for my type length of ship. For the bigger ones, I guess maybe 5. So in that range, no other ship should be anchoring. Watch out for weather. Captain will be definitely mentioned the night orders and the standing instructions. Watch out for the weather. And it's always better to save than sorry. If you are if you know that you're dragging anchor as soon as possible, then you can drop your other anchor, or you can pick up and re-anchor.
That's my next question, Captain.
Okay.
But before going to that, when we take over anchor watch, so like if I, being a third mate, if I go and I have to take over, so what all things like I should know, or what all should I hand over to the next person?
Alright. So you'll be having your company handover checklist for anchor as well. Mostly once you do once or twice, you would remember the points. Basically, see, the modern EGDIS, you have your anchor circle, right? You mark your position and it shows you the turning circle. And if you see that basically the position, the track of the ship should be in that turning circle.
Yes, Captain.
That is one thing. And practically, always check your VHF. Alright. Check for any instruction master has given you, written instructions. And whatever for you third mate or the chief mate will be handing over. So just come and take a small diary and just write it down.
All right.
This is a simple thing. Why? Because we tend to forget. Because we might have a voice call or some audio. We might forget, and then something happens, and I had told you, and then you'll be like, no, sir, you did not say this. So at least when you have it in writing, you know that, and just use the yellow post-it, just write whatever you want, post it, and easy to remember.
Yes, Captain.
That is one thing. And VHF, because many times if the chief mate was talking on the phone and he's reduced the volume because of lots of interference.
Yes, this cause many, like this is most common practice, and like it causes accidents. Like the previous watchkeeper reduces the volume, and the next watchkeeper is under this impression
Is
that
not
it's
aware,
all right.
not
So
aware.
yeah. All right, Captain. Shall I move on?
Yeah.
The next question.
I guess guys are asking about what is this about, so it's about anchor.
Yes, I saw some questions about like the same anchor and all.
Yeah, we'll try our best to cover whatever we can.
Yes. So, Captain, we discussed about our duties while we are anchored and handover. Now, Captain, one question was asked about the engines. So, when we are at anchor, do we have the engines ready, or what is this kickstart we do?
Different ships have different, time, short time. So we never mention on the anchor, earlier we should mention, main engine on 30 minutes notice, 1 hour notice. We don't do that anymore. I mean, I don't know about the dry ships, but on tankers, we just keep main engine on short notice.
All right.
So that short is not defined, just like, R1. So if it is emergency, they have to get the vessel engines ready in the shortest possible time. You sound the general emergency alarm and tell them that it's emergency. I believe in 10-15 minutes I've seen my tankers, my 50,000 deadweight ships getting ready. And it's possible.
Captain, like in a 4 hours of watch. So like sometimes what we do, every hour we take a kick for checking the engines. So
Okay.
is this a common practice or no? Like
Not
sometimes
common
it's every
everywhere.
hour.
No, I have not seen that. If we have given finish with engines and main engine on short notice, and we are going to stay there for 2-3 days, if there are no vessels around, then the engines are on, complete finish with engines.
All right. No, sometimes captains, what we used to do was our engine was always ready, and we can before like in a 4 hours of watch, maybe once in a watch you can just kick. So you have to call the engineers to inform them. But then yeah.
So that's maybe the company's requirement, or maybe you had to keep it because of the other vicinity factors, maybe other vessels around, previous history of anchor dragging, whether it's
that
gonna be rough.
that was like our that was also because of a captain, like it was his personal choice. So
It can be, but then again, it's harassing the engineers, to be honest. If you know that you are having 2 days of nice anchor, there are no vessels around, and your vessel is holding, and for that, you have your watchkeepers to watch out, and they are doing the job, and then they will give them a good notice to, prepare the engine, so, they can engine both are happy.
okay, but in any case, captain, the engine has to be in such a condition that in case of emergency we can start that, like in a short notice, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Also, in case of any areas where there is chances of piracy, Malacca and all that, then definitely we keep the engine room manned and we keep watches on deck and all that. That's separate.
All right, captain.
Yeah.
So my next question is, captain, how do we check that we are dragging? Like how to check that our anchor is dragging, or the others vessels anchor is dragging?
Alright, so again, theoretical question. Okay, it's basically available, you look for your bearings, you check it. Now, that is all theoretical, but on board the ships, you look for your, the egg disc, the anchor walls that you have made,
The turning circle.
turning circle. Your ship, normally, it will make lots of track over there, but it should not exceed the circle.
Alright.
Because whenever we are doing it, we are always keeping a little bit extra than the actual turning circle calculated. So that is there. Second thing, if you see your position, has been changed, and your Doppler log
Yes.
will change. The Doppler log is dependent on the current and everything, but your GPS speed, that will change. Because the GPS is based to the ground. Alright, so if you're at anchor, when you're turning, when you're swinging because of the change of current, then you might have slight GPS speed, but that's okay. But if you see there is a ample amount of GPS speed, that means suspicious. Then you check your, you tell your crew to go forward. Anybody who's on the AB is definitely on watch at all times. So he will tell you the anchor lead. And if you see the anchor is, leading forward and continuously forward, and then coming up and down, again it's going, forward, that means that something is wrong. Then you need to call your master immediately.
All right. So, captain, once like we know the anchor is dragging, so what all can we do? Like we call the master, but then what are the actions we do?
So that master will come on bridge and he will take over immediately. And if you are as a duty officer, if you suspect that you're dragging anchor, immediately, like you said, your 1 hour, your engineers are on standby. In case I'll give them a short notice. immediately the duty engineer will run down clicker engines and we'll get it ready. Like we have power packs on tankers for the so we'll get them ready as well. Chief mate or any duty officer, emergency, both anchor party, stand by forward. So sometimes what general practice we do is we just if there is 5 shackles on deck or 6 on deck, for example, we just lower a few more.
All right.
That is the easiest way to see, for her to see if she is holding. If not, then we will pick up. We'll let go the second anchor as well.
All right.
Now this is all the extreme emergencies. Like suppose there is a shoal behind and there is a vessel behind, so that is like to immediately stop your momentum. And if you have good sea room, you have time, then you can just pick up your anchor, use the engines because she is dragging, she is going astern. Just pick up your engines, and then you drop your re-anchor in a good holding place.
All right, Captain. So, Captain, have you ever, in your experience in your past sailing career, so have you ever experienced anchoring during like in emergency scenario?
One of the arrival port. So all right, I was mate. So it was not a kind of, you can say, that emergency, but it was to be on the safe side. The pilot was not arriving at the intended position, and there was not enough sea room.
All right.
So that time you can use the engines. For containers, you have your bow thrusters, and if you use the engines properly, you can hold the vessel in one place. So on the tankers, my ships, we don't have the bow thrusters.
Okay.
So that time anchor, you just depending on the depth, you keep 1 or 2 shackles. You touch the anchor down. Then you can at least hold the vessel better than using the engines, because you're using engines, you start drifting depending on the current. Just 1 or 2 shackles down, she will hold, and you see the pilot boat approach and pick it up. So that was the extra safety precaution that the master did. And also I have one good experience about the anchor.
Please share with us, Captain.
Yeah, it was my first ship. I was supposed to take over as mate. The previous mate was still on board. And then and 8 o'clock I just completed my watch and I heard a big banging sound. We were approaching Hong Kong port. And the depth luckily was less than 100 meters. What we saw was a huge smoke of dust, and the starboard anchor had just gone down all by itself.
All right.
And the bosun Filipino, he was strong built, so he ran towards the anchor, and luckily he kept the bow stopper. All right,
Okay.
so starboard, suppose it was 12 shackles, so it just stopped, just 1 shackle short, thanks to the bosun. Or else, it would have it would have touched the bitter end, and for sure it would have dented the bulkhead. If not, then it would have broken the bitter end and gone. So that was an experience that we had because of the bad brake lining. And the engineers, they came and said that you did not take the wire lashing. So we showed them the wire lashing, 20 mm the wire lashing, it had broken.
Yes.
So when there is momentum, the wire lashing and all that is only for the namesake.
All right. So then, Captain, what happened later?
See, basically the brake lining was totally gone.
All right.
And because of some reason, the anchor was not stowing properly in the securing position, so the bow stopper was not sitting properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe they might have skipped the pin. They find shortcuts easy way. So the bow stopper pin was not in place for sure.
All right. Okay. Captain, what precautions and PPE do you recommend when we go to anchor station?
Okay. Since walk back or letting go, lots of debris is going to come from your chain. You can see as a cadet or as an OS, there's a clean ship of the forward part during let go and walk back. So imagine that going in your eyes.
Yes, Captain.
So definitely We have chemical goggles. We use that. It's completely covered. I believe shipping goggles should also do.
Any eye protection.
Any eye protection, and then it's better also you have a shield forward.
All
Because
right.
if you're wearing the shipping goggles and your face is exposed, it might come and hit you, and maybe it's very sharp object coming at high speed. So it's better to have a face shield. Filipinos won't need that because their faces are always covered.
Yes.
But we as Indians, we definitely need a face shield over there because let go, if it goes in so high speed, we can't even make out how many shatters are going. Forget watching out for the flying debris.
All right. So eye protection, earmuffs, and any
Earmuffs is
precautions,
common.
Captain?
Earmuffs and your normal basic PPE, collar suits, safety shoes, gloves.
Any precautions you would like to mention that we should take on stations?
Carry a nice flashlight. I've seen many guys, the OS and all, they just depend totally on the ship's flashlight, which is useless. I carry my personal flashlight, a good intrinsically safe one. So always carry a nice flashlight, personal flashlight. Nobody's stopping you.
All right. Captain, what do you like being a captain? It's your decision. So if you have to wait, like if arrival is late and you have to wait, so do you prefer anchoring or you prefer drifting?
Anchoring always. But
Anchoring.
again,
So
depending on the time that you have. So if there is more than 6 hours, even if 5 to 6 hours is okay for me to anchor, because to heave up anchor it takes 40-50 minutes. For anchor stations, it's like
Yes.
again in 1 hour we can pack it up. So at least 3 to 4 hours of rest. On tankers, it's quite hectic, preparing the ships for loading. And so anywhere you see that you can give the crew at least 2 or 3 hours of rest, I would not mind doing that. Drifting, you need to keep your engines standby. But
Yes,
if 3 to
Captain.
4 hours, then definitely drifting.
All right.
And last one, you should have an anchorage suitable position to anchor as well.
All right.
If you see it's congested, then there's no point going into a congested anchorage where you can drift outside safely.
Yeah. So, Captain, in case of like cyclones or hurricanes, so do you prefer anchoring, or
Okay,
have you ever done that?
We didn't have much of a thing this time, but Windforce companies procedures say, different company procedures. Windforce 5, 6, you should not be at anchor, you should go out at sea. So
Yes.
follow that. Follow as a junior officer, follow your master's standing or instructions. Then your weather forecast, if it is going to stay, if it is going to improve, how many ships are in a vicinity, and whether you can, allow for that dragging factor. And if that's the case, rather than picking up and going out at sea, you keep your engines on standby. And if it is extremely bad weather in the port control, that they themselves they'll tell you to just run away from the anchor position.
So, Captain, like earlier we discussed about drifting or anchoring, but in case of like a storm or some cyclone, then what do you prefer, drifting or anchoring? Like
That
which
time
one
you need
is
to.
easy?
At that time you need to pick up your anchor. Many of the ships they do that. Even the vessels at berth, it's really a severe storm or cyclone is going to come. Then even the vessels at berth they go out at sea, and the vessels at anchor for sure they need to go, because if the vessel starts dragging and because picking up anchor again 30-40 minutes, that time you might not have time. So there's one vessel, 2006 or 7. I will not say the name, but rough weather typhoon in Japan,
All
and
right.
it was a bulk carrier. Okay, so they started drifting, or you can say, they started dragging. The weather was rough, and they were dragging towards shoal patch, a rocky shoal patch, you can say. And to add, once you start getting into trouble, it keeps on piling. So while they were heaving up the anchor, the hydraulic pipeline broke, and they had a small fire.
Oh,
And
everything
finally
together.
they decided to let go the anchor, because they need to pick up and go to a safe sea. But to that bad luck, the bitter end was fixed. It was not the ones we removed
We
them
can
with
just lift
the
it.
hammer.
Hammer.
Their bitter end was welded to the bulkhead in the chain locker. So
Alright.
what happened? They dragged and they hit the rocky bottom and they split into two. And the forward guys, the ones who were doing the hot work and cutting off the chain and all that. So literally close to 6, 7 people. I'm not sure, but all of them washed off ashore. And in the typhoon, in a normal open sea, you man overboard, it's very difficult to find it. So in the typhoon with that heavy swell, those people's bodies were never found. And the stern part of the ship was, standing nicely on that rocky bottom. But the flare, containers have a huge flare.
Yes.
So if that leads to either side, the people forward, there's no chance. They will be gone overboard. So storm and all, you need to be kept.
Alright, Captain. Now I'm scared to hear all this. So, well, Captain, has it ever happened that while anchoring, some emergency happened on board? Like you were still anchoring, or anchor got damaged or stuck somewhere? Has it ever happened?
Not in my experience. That was the experience that I told you. The anchor just went off by itself, and it happened twice. We were letting go. The second time we were letting go, and I instructed the bosun to stop because it was instructed at 5 on deck. You stop, hold your brakes. And I told bosun to stop, and he's like, I've stopped already, but the anchor was continuously going on.
Okay.
It's all the momentum. You cannot stop the momentum of that anchor when it is letting go. So you need to check your brake linings, and brake test and all that properly. But as of emergencies have not happened. But you need to be prepared for the worst. Whenever you're at anchor, you can chill out. You can chill out, use your internet, Wi-Fi, and at anchorage. But then at least diligently keep your anchor watch as well.
Alright. So, Captain, that's all questions from my side. Now, I have some questions which were asked by the people who were seeing this video. So, it's like small ones. First is, if the wind and current both are from different directions, so in where will you head the ship?
Okay. Theoretical guys. See, basically the effect of the current is very high on the ships. Now again, that depends on type of ships. Now if you're asking this question particularly, then I as a practical, I would need to know which ship I am on. The car carriers, they have a high freeboard. The containers have high freeboard. So the effect of wind is much higher on those ships.
Alright.
On containers, on the tankers, it is quite less the wind effect, but yes, it is there. Many of times, more or less, it will be on the same side or closer, to each other. So basically, we look for is the current. You head the current so that you have strong maneuvering capability, and you keep your wind in factor because as a basic ship handling thing, your bow will always cant into the wind.
Alright.
So you keep that into factor as well.
Alright, thank you. Next question, Captain. It is, why it is said to be a good practice to pass through stern of anchored vessel?
Okay. All the vessels are anchored chains, 5 to 6 cables. You never know how many shackles are in the water and what's the scope. So why to take risk and pass ahead of them? And any of the ships, if you are at anchor, if you see a vessel passing astern, you will be much more relaxed. So think of the other guy as well. Rather than vessel passing ahead of you at a very short distance, you must achieve the speedboats. For fun they just pass your bow at hardly 10 meter, 20 meters. So as a huge ships, big ships, keep minimum 3 to 4 cables away from each vessel and better to pass the stern.
Alright, Captain. Next is, Captain, when anchor is dragging, what's the status of your vessel? Does it becomes underway or it becomes NUC?
Okay. It is a very tricky question. Okay. And this answer again, many of the surveys will have their own different opinion about it. Practically, if the anchor is dragging on board, I would not be bothered if the which light the duty officer is putting, NUC or the anchor lights. But if you see the definition of NUC, and basically if you see ROR, they have described the lights for the ROR for anchored
Yes,
vessels.
Captain.
If that was the case, then we would have just put the NUC lights, just put any crazy master on board and he says, okay, for me, ship is at anchor and she's not in the command because, I've given short notice to engine room.
All right.
But that's not the legal way of doing it. See, as long as, you put NUC or you put anchor lights or you tell her she's NUC or underway, nothing will happen till the time you don't collide or you don't hit any object. Once it gets into the court, then the lawyers will be waiting for you to say that, oh, why did you put NUC? What? So master or your duty officer define NUC. So NUC is extreme circumstances. Now in this, when the anchor is dragging, have your engines broken down? Your engines were ready and capable. As a good officer, as a good master, maybe that captain must have experienced it, and he would have kept 1 hour, give kicks and keep the engines extremely, ready for any emergency. So this is a very tricky part, But again, if the vessel is dragging, that's why, your duty officers keep anchor watches. They're supposed to monitor, or else we never keep the bridge, unmanned during anchor watches and keep it as NUC. And even if another time, if you see you're drifting, I've also seen many times, some master will say put NUC lights. So even other vessel will keep clear of you. But that is not right because so far, as long as you are no accidents or no incidents, but when you actually get into some legal complications, then you'll be pulled out and your CC will be on the line because you did not comply with the Polrex properly.
All right. So yes, Captain. Next question was again the same, related to this. That if it is if your anchor is dragging, so will we change the status or lights? All right.
See, if on board, I would say ki, you follow the practical parts. That time it's an emergency. Emergency, people go forward and, we prepare engines and we prepare for re-anchoring or, I think that time, I would not send somebody to go and put the flag and put the, switch on the lights.
Yes,
That's there. But first instance is to prepare for contingency. And again, it is, in my opinion, I may be wrong, do not quote me in front of your MMD surveys and, Captain Vijay had me bola tha, unko COC mil gaya. We also need COC. So don't say that. But on board, as long as you have your engines and steering is in your hand, control, I am giving them off, but it doesn't mean I will be pulled to jail that why your engines were not ready well before. If I kept them ready in 15 minutes, they will catch me for why you did not keep it ready in 5 minutes or why your engines were not ready in the first place. So never consider that vessel as not under command if it is she is driving. But again, some surveyors would be happy to hear that. So you just satisfy the surveys because you need a COC.
All right, Captain. Captain, next question is it's little ROR now. It is if we have man overboard while we are in TSS. So are we allowed to anchor or do we anchor? It's a very debatable thing. So this is the last one.
Okay. So in TSS, okay, so we will cover ROR. It's very interesting. Actually, I am quite happy that, earlier it was more or less, the basics of anchoring, but since getting you on board, it's you're just pushing me off the edge. Actually, so it's good. So we will discuss ROR someday, and then we'll bring out the loopholes, whatever is there.
All right.
So coming back to the TSS, so if you remember your TSS, it says that you can go to a separation zone in case of any emergency. Now, man overboard is definitely an emergency. So TSS more or less will be on your maneuvering RPM. So you slow down your speed, go there, inform your port control that this has happened and you are going to the TSS separation zone or the inshore zone. keep your TSS informed, stop your vessels, and then do your other contingency or VHF, inform all other ships. That time you can inform the port control that you're putting your NUC or whatever, depending. All right. And second thing, if I ever I catch that guy, finally if I retrieve him and it is pulled on board, he will be signed off or sacked from the next port. But why in the world, in TSS, why
In
you going
TSS.
outside? So generally, it's just a oral question. But practically, if you're in TSS, it's more or less port limits. Nobody works near the seaside.
All right. Yeah, Captain, that was it. That's it. These were the questions for anchoring. And I can see many people asking questions. So I saw questions regarding Citadel and all. So yesterday we had a session. You can check there. And more or less we have covered all your questions. Guys,
All
if
right.
you
I will
want more
just,
questions,
I'll
just
just
1 minute,
speak
Captain.
something. Sure.
Just one, Captain. If anyone has any questions, you can just send me a message, and I can just plan in another session your all questions. Yes, Captain. So sorry to interrupt.
It's all right. Okay. So basically, another few things, I just kept some bullet points ready.
All right.
All right. So whenever you're going for anchor, breaks and all, we are in the back of your mind, but nobody looks for the foul, because if you are anchoring in a place where there is, the anchorage area is fouled area, so
Yes,
definitely when you lower your anchor, the chances are that it might get, fouled and you might not be able to pick it up. So just look for the foul, whenever like Duty of the Masters tells you, to plot a anchor position.
Yes,
So
Captain.
just look for that fouled position as well.
All right.
All right. So anchoring methods are two methods: letting go and walk back.
Yes.
All right. So many of the cadets they're doing for the first time. All right. Sakshi, the safety we need to cover. So I'll just 2 minutes and then we'll talk about the safety. All right. One more thing I just kept it. It's very interesting. I don't know your ships, but if you remember, the starboard side has 12 shackles and the port side has 11 shackles.
Yes, Captain. I
Have you
was
ever
just
won?
coming. I was thinking to ask, but then, like, Captain, my question is, sometimes what happened? Two anchors, but different shackles. 12. So one is 11 or 10, 11. So like one side always has one extra shackle.
Yeah.
And whenever we Google it, we get different theories, but we don't get the proper answer. So, Captain, can you just help us in this question?
Okay. So, see, basically, if you want any answers related to your anchoring, go to ISCS, International Association of Classification, because the
Classification.
anchor and machinery equipments, windlass, mooring hitches, they come under ISCS. Different classes have their different rules. So basically, our anchor that we have on board, they have an equipment number. That's what it's mentioned. So based on the equipment number, you will see what is the equipment number. There is a table in the IACS. Accordingly, how much is the maximum weight of the anchor which is allowed?
Yes, Captain.
Okay. And how much is the total length of shackle which is allowed? All right. So just an example. For my last ship, the equipment number is 2530 to 2700. So just forget that. But correspondingly, it says that 632.5 meters of shackle should be on board.
All right.
All right. So if you divide that with your one shackle, 27.5. So it comes to 23 shackles. Now if you divide 23 by 2, it comes to 11.5.
Yes,
So
Captain.
they don't keep 11.5. So they keep 11 here and 12 there.
And 12.
So that's the only reason for this difference, because of the total length of shackle that is required as per the vessel's equipment number.
All right, Captain. Captain, one of my chief mate, he told me that if we have to do some towing operation, so then also it's required to have one extra shackle on the other side. So is it somehow related?
I don't know. The towing part is totally a different thing, but with the anchors, because on tankers we have the ETA forward, use some chains and the bow stopper is there. Using the anchors towing, I mean it's out of my syllabus.
All right.
All right, so we have the chain forward for towing, bow stopper, and it's very complicated. That's why they have given us, they asked for Solar 60 minutes. That you take your 1 hour for preparation. And at the stern, it's quite
Yes.
easy. So 15 minutes to prepare for stern towing.
All right, Captain.
Anything else that I missed?
I can see some questions. At night in clear visibility, do we have anything additional other than white lights? Captain, up to you.
For this, you will have to read your ROR.
Yes, I would
Clearly
say
mentioned,
they are
less than 50
yeah.
meters in and for 100 meters deck lights. I mean, see, whatever is mentioned in the ROR, I am following
You
it.
have
My
to.
forefathers were following it. In your grandkids will be following that. So, if there's any, we switch on all the deck lights. That's how we inform all other ships that, we are at anchor. And, containers, one of the biggest culprits. A power train vessel, has to masthead lights and the side lights and stern lights. But you see these containers putting their, passage lights throughout. Now, where in the ROR it's mentioned, a container ship has to put out passage lights. But all the container ships do that. And looking at that, we know that it's a container ship passing.
Just we do it because, Captain, we want to we want to tell everyone around that okay, this is the length of our vessel.
Okay, how about VLCCs then? Do you want the VLCCs to put the deck lights on?
No, we don't.
Okay, something about hanging of anchors. See, if you see an anchor up and down, that either there's no current, or the anchor is off the bottom. And basically, whenever you're anchoring as duty officers, make sure on the bridge, if the captain is giving let go of the anchor, that time your GPS speed should be close to 0.5, 0.3 knots. All right, a little bit astern normally. The GPS speed. Why? Because when you're letting go your anchor, it should not pile up in the same place. So that is the basic things you should also remember when he's doing it. Most of the senior masters, they will not be sharing all this information, but just remember why astern speed is there, because the anchor should not get fouled in one place. So you keep going astern, and the anchor starts. And then if your final is 8 on deck, so we stop at 3 or 4. Let the ship start swinging, and then we make it final 8 on deck or 7 on deck, whatever. And if you're walking back, make sure that when you're walking back, your speed is in such that it does not give stress on your windlass speed.
All right.
All right. Now we'll answer Sakshi's question in case if you're ready. Just basic continuation of last time you spoke a good thing about how the practical things being a female seafarer. So just a little bit more if you can add.
More or less, Captain, that's the thing. Like on board, your safety is in your hands. So and like from the crew side and officer sides, it's like you won't be getting troubles a lot. But yeah, as I said in the previous session, just maintain some distance and you'll be safe. Yeah, don't give anyone a wrong indication that you are interested or something, because being on board and maximum time you'll be the only girl. So yes, try to be clear in what you say and what you do. And at port, Captain, as I mentioned, please always be in the areas where you are easily visible, or if not visible, then at least you have your radio with you, you are in communication. So these are all some points you have to consider. More or less, don't talk to stevedores if it's not related to work. Like, don't get extra friendly, don't try to plan a show or something with stevedores or something. Yeah, but because Captain, I have experienced this. I was in Itajai, and there was a stevedore, and he came to me and he said, "When are you getting off?" So I said, "Why?" So I said, "I don't want to talk to you." So he said, no, I'll take you ashore. I have my car. I do this. So they come and then they start offering you things. If you go to Salalah and places like King Abdullah, Captain, many times it happens that I come from my watch and I have handful of chocolates and toffees. So all these things happen. But just take it in a positive way, and don't do anything that can cause you trouble. Because Captain, I won't say that you are safe and you are very good. It's all ship's responsibility. No, you are all responsible for yourself. So that's all. It's like all in general things, Captain. Nothing like very big thing. So yeah, that's all.
Okay, how about the parties?
Like the
You must be
barbecues.
attending. No, no, no. I mean, okay, barbecues on dry ships, but the parties we have in the mess rooms, the dance and all that. So you be a part of them, but at some point in time, many of the guys will be like, uncomfortable in waiting when she's gonna go because, for them to unleash themselves.
Captain, it's like it's always there. If after barbecues or Diwali party, like last time I had my Diwali on board, so Diwali party, and I had Indian crew. So I went to the party, and I don't know why, but everyone stopped dancing. So I said, "What happened? Why did you stop?" And like they were playing Hindi songs, they were dancing, and all shirts removed and everything. But the moment I entered, everything stopped and changed, and everyone was just eating. So I said, okay, and but I was little friendly with my duty AB and some more. So I said, okay. So till the time when I was there, we all were dancing, but it was very like formal and
Formal.
sophisticated. But the moment you enter, it's like a huge difference. Their talks change, their sense of humor change. They start talking in a sophisticated manner. Their dance way change, and the moment you leave, then they're dancing, and like you can only see the videos the next day. Oh, you were dancing like this. So this happens a lot, Captain.
So this happens even when your master or chief engineer is there, and the crew will act a little bit formal, depending how the relationship is. And once they
Yes.
leave, I mean, they just unleash themselves, Tiger Shroff and Hrithik Roshan's, without
Yeah.
shirts.
I
But then,
remember,
with the
Captain. I'm sorry, Captain. Please go on.
no, but with the female, they have to maintain some etiquettes, while having food and all that. So it's different. But then I believe Maersk and all the other major companies where female seafarers are largely employed, I believe their officers must be used to that working culture.
Yes, Captain. It's like it's always good to have these parties and people like everything is good. We don't feel too awkward or something. But yeah, this happens that once you leave, there is another party going on the other side. And
Yeah.
yes, all these things. But I remember, Captain, last time with Indian crew. So there was a cinema, and they were watching Dabang. Dabang released that time, some part. So the moment I entered, everyone again sat very nicely and was watching movie. The moment I left, I could hear whistling and everything. So this happens.
That won't change because that's normal, the male's
But
tendency.
yeah, but Captain, I feel that this is a good thing. Like I really appreciate this because I don't want that I'm sitting there and they start doing this. But like now I'm talking, so I say, oh, why they do this? Why everything is changing? But if they start acting normal in front of me also, it will make me also uncomfortable. So I feel it's a good thing. It's I take it in a positive way. Like Captain, my previous captain used to say, when we have girls on board, the atmosphere of the atmosphere on board is different, and that's something which we like. So yeah, that's a big thing. People start treating themselves and like the way they behave, their language especially. So everything is little more sophisticated. Yeah.
Right. Some
Questions are popping out.
irrelevant
Yeah.
questions. Why the salary has dropped down and all. So, not. Okay, this one question I would take. Where do we do the standing mooring and running mooring? It's
All
basically
right.
not related to proper anchoring that we generally do, but these are majorly carried out by the pilots and by some masters which I have no experience. But last I would say Rotterdam and all, and we did SBM moorings, the spider moorings.
Yes, Captain.
So we just had two stern lines. So we dropped the starboard anchor. I kept second mate forward and the chief mate forward. So it's all the pilot and like pilot's orders or master's advice or whatever he says. So he drops the starboard anchor, then he will dredge it, bring the ship, on the port side. Then he will drop the port anchor. Then we'll keep letting go, bring her to the center of the position, and then we'll keep going astern, and then pass the stern lines and then port. So all this complicated maneuvering is basically with the ports and only with the pilots on board.
All right.
All right, I'm done.
Yes, Captain. Even I'm done. There was one question. Are ratings respected on board? So I would say each and every person who is working on board, we respect them, and they respect. Like you give respect, you get respect.
Yeah, this is a very standard question unless he is in substandard company where officer. I have been to I've been to Andaman,
All right.
and I happened to go on that SCI, one of the SCI passenger ship, and being in a nice rank, I just spoke to the guy and went on the bridge and spoke to the master, and they also get very fascinated. Oh, he's a chemical tanker master and all that. But I saw the third mate literally abusing his master. And I was like, okay, if you do that on merchant ships, our ships, we would be home the next.
Yes.
So it depends on the company and all. But Maersk definitely, Maersk, MOL will be sacked if you mutiny and abuse even your messman or your OS.
Yeah, like it's not I've never heard that it happened, but even if there is a small issue to anyone, and like there are steps obviously, so if even someone says anything to me which I feel bad of, I directly go to my chief. Like, Captain, I had this issue on my second vessel. What happened was, like, being a girl captain, I am a little sensitive, and there was an AB who was quite old. So what happened was, he was elder to me, and I was made the in charge of my aft station. So the problem now, this is one issue, Captain, being a girl. So it was my second vessel, and there was no officer, and I was there for the aft station. So what happened, I told my AB to do, like, not, I said one line at a time, and he was like, no, 2 lines at a time. So I said, no, 1 line at a time. So I said, Captain said 1 line, I am saying 1 line, so 1 line. But then he said, you are a girl, you will not tell me what I have to do. And then he started. So we had a fight and all. So this is one issue which girls sometimes face, but not always, but yeah, sometimes. But then, Captain, when I went to my, I went back after the stations, everything was done according to me. But then after, when I complained to my chief mate, so yes, things were like, even if something you feel bad of, you can just complain and then steps will be taken. Next day we had a meeting, he, me, and the top 4. So this is how it works.
This is going to be experienced by the young, first time third mates. If at all they are getting in charge, and the senior ABs, most of the time ABs are behind. So they tend to get, they are not bypassing the orders. But ultimately the orders are coming from the bridge to the pilot that you need to pass this line, that line, and if they're not complying, they will have it, because ultimately wrong mooring and all,
Yes,
ship can bang, and a lot of things can happen, and then we would never want that. If we are sending a duty officer or a responsible officer behind, he's the one in charge. He's the one to give orders, and the crew are supposed to take orders. If you want to give orders, pass your COC, pass your exams, come as an officer, and then come in that place.
Yes, Captain. But I have experienced this as well, Captain, with the same AB. During some inventory, we were doing this stock count. So something happened, and he said, you are so young to order me, and I have so much of experience. I'm working since 30 years, and like more than your age, I have this experience. So these things sometimes come with us, but I guess it won't happen. It won't be happening.
It's definitely going to happen. My last ship, the junior officer, so he was in charge of the tank cleaning when the chief mate was sleeping. I was home, I had signed off, and he was fond of me. He called me up and told me that the crew is not listening because they don't like orders from a junior officer. He's got his COC. He's a third mate basically, but because of first time and all that, the company sent them as a junior. So then they hesitate to take orders even from a certified duty officer. So with a cadet, definitely they will have ego issues. But again,
Yes,
that is Merchant Navy.
But Captain, I have seen we were two cadets. With the male cadets, they were always good. They were not like he was Filipino, but whenever I used to give him order, so he was like, "You cannot order." And, like I was not even giving order. If I was requesting also, then also you cannot order me because you are young to order and all this. So yeah. So yes, Captain, from my side, it's all done, and I can't see any more questions.
Okay. Can we use anchor chains for mooring? Yes. There are some ports where you dredge anchors. You based on which side you're going alongside the offshore side. You drop anchor and then let go, and then she will come bodily to the port. So that's also there. Plus, there are various kinds of moorings that we will cover next time. Mediterranean running moor standing we'll cover next time.
Pretty much enough then, Captain.
All right. Done as well. So thank you, Simran, for hosting me and for asking actually tough, difficult questions. It was a good session, and if we missed, definitely we'll cover them, in our future sessions.
Thank you very much, Captain, for taking out your time and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. So thank you very much. It's great to have you.
I may not be able to answer all your theoretical second mates or you can say mates level, but definitely as a practical, I would definitely help you all.
All right. Okay, Captain. Thank you very much. Happy
All right,
Republic Day.
Simran. Happy Republic Day as well. And all guys, thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully see you next time during the next session.
All right.
All right, so I'll just disconnect.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.